Hello, I'm Jenna Johnson, and this is COVID-19 News. According to the World Health Organization, the U.S. now has almost 4 million cases of COVID-19 and over 141,000 deaths attributed to the virus. During a press conference in reference to the coronavirus, Donald Trump said the country is in very good shape, other than if you look south or west.
The country is in very good shape, other than if you look south and west, some problems.
That's like corporate America saying, we support diversity, other than if you look at who we hire. Or that's like Ted Yoho saying, I'm really good with women, other than how I speak to or treat them. Who is Ted Yoho, you ask? He's the Florida congressman who accosted Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the steps of the Capitol building this week. He stuck his finger in her face, called her disgusting, crazy, and out of her freaking mind, then later in front of reporters called her and excuse my language, because YOLO, right? You only live once. But in his case, Yoho, you only harass once, because he won't be getting a second chance, especially not after AOC ripped him a new one, or in this case, a few new ones, on the House floor.
About 2 days ago, I was walking up the steps of the Capitol when Representative Yoho suddenly turned a corner, and he was accompanied by Representative Roger Williams, and accosted me on the steps right here in front of our nation's Capitol. And Representative Yoho put his finger in my face. He called me disgusting. He called me crazy. He called me out of my mind. And he called me dangerous. I walked back out, and there were reporters in the front of the Capitol. And in front of reporters, Representative Yoho called me, and I quote, a f***ing. These are the words that Representative Yoho levied against a congresswoman. The congresswoman that not only represents New York's 14th congressional district, but every congresswoman and every woman in this country. Because all of us have had to deal with this in some form, some way, some shape, at some point in our lives. I have encountered words uttered by Mr. Yoho and men uttering the same words as Mr. Yoho while I was being harassed in restaurants. I have tossed men out of bars that have used language like Mr. Yoho's. This is not new, and that is the problem. This issue is not about one incident. It is cultural. It is a culture of lack of impunity, of accepting of violence and violent language against women, and an entire structure of power that supports that. This is a pattern of an attitude towards women and dehumanization of others. I honestly thought that I was just going to pack it up and go home. It's just another day, right? But then yesterday, Representative Yoho decided to come to the floor of the House of Representatives and make excuses for his behavior. And that I could not let go. And I do not need Representative Yoho to apologize to me. Clearly, he does not want to. But what I do have issue with is using women, our wives and daughters, as shields and excuses for poor behavior. I am someone's daughter, too. My father, thankfully, is not alive to see how Mr. Yoho treated his daughter. My mother got to see Mr. Yoho's disrespect on the floor of this house towards me on television. And I am here because I have to show my parents that I am their daughter and that they did not raise me to accept abuse from men. In front of the press, he gave permission to use that language against his wife, his daughters, women in his community. And I am here to stand up to say that is not acceptable. Having a daughter does not make a man decent. Having a wife does not make a decent man. Treating people with dignity and respect makes a decent man. And when a decent man messes up, as we all are bound to do, he tries his best and does apologize. Not to save face, not to win a vote. He apologizes genuinely to repair and acknowledge the harm done. Lastly, what I want to express to Mr. Yoho is gratitude. I want to thank him for showing the world that you can be a powerful man and accost women. You can have daughters and accost women without remorse. You can be married and accost women. You can take photos and project an image to the world of being a family man and accost women without remorse and with a sense of impunity.
Damn, girl. Thank you for vocalizing that so perfectly. You just ripped him a lot of new assholes. I wonder what it's like to go for a walk with that many assholes. The Pope would know. In other news, the White House had to close down 2 eating areas because someone tested positive for COVID-19. Well, those are nice. Reports are unclear as to whether the infected person was a cafeteria worker or a White House official, but staffers were emailed that the closures could last up to 2 weeks. Oh, that's how you handle a COVID case when there's a breakout in a public building. I hope someone forwarded that email to Betsy DeVos so she knows how to answer this question.
What are experts telling you about the appropriate level of transmission for a school before it has to shut down?
Well, I know that that's an area that the CDC is helping to provide further insight into.
And what happens if it faces an outbreak?
You know, there's really good examples that have been utilized in the private sector.
Do you have a plan
But
for what students and what schools should do?
So schools should do what's right on the ground.
So just to be clear, are you saying that areas where there is a flare-up, that schools should revert to remote learning?
I'm saying that schools should have plans.
If there is a flare-up, should schools revert to remote learning? You're very aggressive about saying reopen, and the next question, the obvious question is, what happens if they feel that they can't? Are you comfortable with remote learning if they can't?
I think the go-to needs to be kids in school, in person, in the class environment for them.
I understand that,
and
but
we have
what
to
if they
also
can't?
understand. What if they can't what?
And finally, California has reported the highest number of coronavirus infections in the country. California Governor Gavin Newsom said the state registered 12,807 new coronavirus infections in the past 24 hours. Maybe that's one way to keep Donald Trump's secret police out of your state. Just tell him the whole place is infected. On the flip, not keeping the secret police out of his city is Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, who stood with protesters Wednesday night in front of a federal courthouse to, in his words, oppose the Trump administration's occupation of this city. Many in the crowd booed him because just a few weeks ago, Portland police used tear gas multiple times on peaceful protesters. Due to that fact, residents gave Mayor Wheeler the nickname Tear Gas Ted. Some even brought signs. Federal agents may have taken that sign as more of an order because that's exactly what they did. Federal agents tear-gassed Ted. Agents of the U.S. federal government literally tear-gassed the mayor of Portland. I know states want to get the secret police out of their states, but what if they can't?
What if they can't what?
I'm Jenna Johnson, and this has been COVID-19 News. Thanks for watching.